Seems Dodge has broken the internet for better or worse with the introduction of their new Dodge Charger. A significant part of the hubbub stemming from this silly but slickly produced video done for the grand unveiling of the curiously timed release of the car. Oh, it's harmless fun. No sense in taking these things too seriously. There's blowback about no Hemi V8 engine, all 24 Chargers will be coupes. I ain't got no problem with that. But four-door sedans are on the way. All 24s will be EVs. Personally, I think the auto industry is putting the cart before the horse with electrics, but that's just my 2 cobalt cents. You know, you've got 496 horsepower and 404 foot-pounds of torque on tap. Who cares if it goes less than 200 miles on a charge in real-world driving? And then you have to sit forever at a Costco charging station to get enough juice to be able to limp home. Hey, by the way, you know Costco's across the country will soon have sushi counters? Styling-wise, I think designers nailed it. These things are gorgeous. I love it so much that the new for 2024 Dodge Charger is one of the few cars on the market today that I take the time to stop into a dealership to see. Would I fork over 50 to 60 grand for one? Of course not, but I'll more than encourage you to make the very poor financial decision to buy or lease one, as long as you let me drive it. The Dodge Charger nameplate has been around since 1966 and has been festooned to a number of interesting, not so interesting, bland, and outright forgettable automobiles over the decades. The first Charger was intended to be Dodge's answer to the Ford Mustang, but given that it was built on the Chrysler Corporation's then very oversized intermediate chassis and had a luxurious interior, it seemed targeted more at the Ford Thunderbird, Buick Riviera, or Pontiac Grand Prix than the Mustang. Marketing 101, gang. You need focus. Out of the box, Dodge tried to be all things to all people with the Charger, and they failed miserably. Its wonky styling certainly didn't help matters. Rather than kill the car off, though, Dodge redesigned it for 1968. And just like that, most if not all of the sins of the first Charger were washed away as it became, hey, my vlog, my opinion, one of the best-looking cars of the era, if not of all time. You don't agree? Well, take a look at the new Charger. Where do you think the styling impetus for these things came from? Yeah, these were too big. They handled like bathtubs full of water unless they're powered by the largest, most powerful engines. Because they're so freaking heavy, they're really not that fast either. And they inhaled gas like a 5-year-old sucking down a milkshake. But it's amazing what you can get away with when you're good-looking. Dodge moved about 90,000 of these in 1968 and 9, but sales dropped off by roughly half that for 1970 on the bumper of a somewhat unfortunate decorative reboot. Insurance company tariffs on anything they construed as a performance car were taking their toll too. The third-generation Charger debuted for 1971, and although shorter, they were wider than what they replaced. These cars were part of Chrysler's then fuselage styling ethos that was, supposedly, meant to emulate a jet airliner. Okay, if you say so. Only makes sense after that's pointed out. I think these cars look better than their full-size fuselage models, although they ain't no 1968 and 9 Dodge Charger. Dodge built these really bulky Chargers, which I like sort of, through 1974. I had the chance to buy a 72 back in the day. A woman I worked with was divorcing her husband, and she wanted to screw him over by unloading his beloved car. I could have had it for like $1,200. It was a steal. It was white with a blue interior, 400 engine, and it was mint. I balked on it because her husband was in a motorcycle gang, had a temper, owned guns, and, you know, I happened to be fond of breathing. After 1974, the Charger nameplate took some unfortunate turns. Seemed the Chrysler Corporation all but forgot about the Dodge Charger when they drew up the Chrysler Cordoba for 1975, and it was built on the same chassis the 1971 to 74 Charger was. Even the Plymouth version of the Cordoba got more distinctive sheet metal than the Charger Cordoba did. Dodge built these from 1975, halfway through the 1977 model year, replacing it with an interesting-looking car they called the Magnum. The Charger nameplate was sunset, well, for a little while. Halfway through the 1981 model year, Dodge came out with a new Charger that was, for all intents and purposes, a sporty K car. I cried myself to sleep for years following the debut of these cars. In reality, these cars were more like longer wheelbase versions of the Dodge Omni 024, which themselves were two-door versions of the seminal 1978 Omni four-door sedans. Those cars laying the groundwork for the K car that debuted in 1981, so, long way around the cul-de-sac. Yeah, These are glorified K cars. In fairness, although I would never have been caught dead in one, these were actually excellent little cars. They could handle like no Charger before them. With the right engine, they were pretty quick, were efficient, and in a vacuum weren't that bad looking. Dodge built these through 1987, then tossed the Charger nameplate into the proverbial dumpster for good. Or so it seemed. Let's jump into the time machine and fast forward 20 years to model year 2006. When then Daimler Chrysler answered a question no one was asking. Hey, why don't you guys name your new rear-wheel drive four-door sedan Charger? Sharing nothing, I mean nothing, with Chargers of yore, the new Charger would go on to define much of what a Dodge was all about for the better part of the next 20 years. These were exclusively four-door sedans. You wanted a two-door starting in 2008, that meant you got a Challenger. Yeah, the Charger platform was updated in 2011, but through my foggy goggles, they were the same car. Yes, in later years there was some effort at making the car appear to have some of the luscious Coke bottle styling of the 1968 to 1970 Chargers, but still, they were four-door sedans, and you know what I think of four-door sedans. With the onslaught of SUVs and crossovers, did anyone care about these cars? The Dodge Charger became the darling of fleet sales and rental counters, which makes Dodge, or their parent company, Stellantis, spending the time and resources to keep the nameplate above ground, at least for the time being, an interesting one. Dodge plans a gaggle of different Chargers, including internal combustion models and ones with four doors. Stay tuned, film at 11. I hope you enjoyed my video on the new Dodge Charger as much as I enjoyed making it. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.